In my macroeconomics classes, I open the class with a game. I have each of my teams pick a number between 1 and 10. Now, this is something my mother and father would do with me and my sister when we were younger. So, to decide who got the first cookie, for example, to solve that problem, each child would choose a number between 1 and 10. And whoever got the number closest to the parental chosen number would be the first one to be able to choose which cookie they wanted. And I don't know what my students are thinking when I do this. Some of them probably had something similar happen in their households, but I have them pick a number and I don't tell them what they're doing. After they've all picked their numbers, I inform them that they were choosing their budget for a task. And I put a dollar sign in front of their number 1 through 10. And I always make a joke, like if you have a small budget, I'm like, you're going to have to be very creative. And then the large people, I can say something like, we have high expectations for you because you have a budget of 10. And then I present them with some objects and a task. They can use that money to purchase objects like a straw, coffee stir, pipe cleaners of various colors, and Post-it notes, things like that. And I tell them to create an art object that represents what economics means to them. So it's an icebreaker activity, but it has a purpose. So that activity forces a constraint, and then within the constraint, there's activity and choices that have to be made. That's a classic economic problem. Economics is a social and behavioral science, which is based on a problem called scarcity. Scarcity is when your wants are greater than your resources. So if you think about it this way, if you've ever been told like, oh, you're so smart or so talented, you can do anything you want. Well, first of all, do you like being lied to? Second of all, everybody has limits. Everything in the known universe has limits. If you want something without limits, you can go to your philosophy or religion class, and it is possible. Some conceptions of God have no limits. It's not possible. It is. Some conceptions of God have no limits. But outside of that, even the universe itself has limits. The universe, as I understand physics, is still expanding. And anything that's expanding, it's implied that there's some kind of limitation because it's still advancing. So there's some point at which it does not exist anymore, which is, kind of mind-blowing to me. But everything has limits. And because of that, we all have that scarcity problem. There's only a limited amount of stuff. And then often our brains, which are still constrained because they're contained within our skulls, they can think of more to do than what's available. And again, wants greater than resources, that's your scarcity problem. So that brings me to the definition of economics. Economics is the study of human choices brought on by scarcity. The study of human choices brought on by scarcity. We focus on people in my classes, but there have been studies of economics with animals. My favorite is there were some monkeys, and the monkeys were trained to use coins, special coins that had, I believe, a hole in the center of them so the monkey could more easily grasp the coins. And the monkeys were given a grape or some kind of treat every time they turned it into the caretaker. And after a few months, the monkeys got used to it and understood the coins had value. And the monkeys would respond to price changes. So if the price of bananas would go up, they'd buy more grapes. If the price of grapes went up, they'd buy more bananas. So they're responding much like people to those incentives. And you'd throw a coin in the middle of the room, and the monkeys would pile on because they knew it had value, things like that. They also observed the monkeys, which is very interesting, trading among themselves. Now, what did monkeys buy from each other? What do you think? Yes, they did buy food. Very good. They bought food from each other, but there was observed transactional sex acts happening. So I suppose the male monkeys in particularly were purchasing sex acts from the female monkeys, meaning the females were prostituting themselves. Very interesting study. And so it has been done with animals. But again, in my classes, we focus on the human element.